Go. So, Facebook, and we got YouTube. We're doing multiple channels tonight. It's Wolfgang Krosky, and this is our Tuesday tailgate. Really excited to be here. Um, we are broadcasting from inside the truck again because if you look out that window, or I should say right there, it's getting darker. So we may have to change our name from Tuesday tailgates to something else so that we can have. Uh, Better lighting. It's that time of year where it's getting darker sooner, which does mean eventually the clocks are going to roll back. We'll get the extra hour of sleep. So, couple of things that I want to talk about today in this Tuesday tailgate. The first one is please like and share this content as well as the campaign page. I really appreciate that. I just got a copy of a book. It's so new; it just came today. I forgot the name of it, but it's one of the things it was talking about was explicitly asking for those things that you need. So I need your help in sharing my social media channels, but more importantly, sharing my message with people who may not be online, being able to connect with residents of Pittsburgh that are not, whether it's social media or YouTube or just email, just they're not online. I need your help. So if there are people that you think I could talk to, that I should talk to, whether it's knocking on their door, speaking at groups, whatever it may be, I would be more than happy and would love the opportunity to meet people and to talk with people. So that is my ask for this evening. If you have an opportunity where I might be able to speak, whether it's at a at service club or maybe at a social club or at your work, your business, could be at church, wherever it may be. I would love the opportunity to be able to do that. So that is my ask. That I need your help in connecting with people that may not know about me, may not know about my campaign or my desire to help make Pittsburgh a better place. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So the this weekend we had a wonderful event in Old Town. It was a fundraising event for the PHS Marching Show Band, and after the event, took our kids out to get smoothies because that's what they wanted. They wanted smoothies, so we went to Jamba Juice on Century Boulevard, and as we were walking, literally there was somebody that had ordered some food and probably took one or two bites, decided they didn't like it, dumped it out, and threw it in the parking lot. And it made me realize, actually, I already knew this, but made me think about, there's no point in asking the city or the government to do something that we should be doing ourselves, plain and simple. So if we want a clean, safe, and prosperous Pittsburgh, what is our responsibility of residents? And more importantly, those residents that feel like somebody else will do it. That's why I pay taxes, or whatever the reason may be that they can act in a way that we don't do. Why do we tolerate that? Why do we tolerate that in our city? So what I want to see is in the comments. You can go ahead and drop them in there. What are different ways that you have seen people call out bad behavior? Can't think of another way to do that, but call out bad behavior, because that's really something that we need to do. Just plain and simple. We can't rely on government to fix all the problems. We need the ability as residents to fix some of our own solutions. And you're probably thinking, well, geez, Wolf, you're running for city council. You're supposed to be giving all the answers. You're supposed to, get us to vote for you because you have some master plan. And I do have a plan, absolutely. But I can tell you the reason why so many plans in the past have not worked is because they didn't incorporate the residents fully. They didn't engage the residents fully. And therefore, after a while, people's energy ran out, people's time ran out. It's hard. It's hard to get that momentum. If you only have a small group of people trying to imagine a freight train, and they're pushing, and trying to get this momentum going, it's it's not going to work. You need a lot of people. So, would love to see. Stephanie put on their next door app. I've seen people trying to organize to help the Parkside neighborhood, but they've been accused of trying to gentrify the area. Yes. So that is gentrification. That is a loaded term. The reality is there's gentrification where basically what gentrification is, you people go into neighborhoods because the property is extremely it's undervalued. The price is low. Well, we lost our studio lights. Um, the prices are low. The properties need work, and so they go in, they get it at a discount, they fix them all up, and then they sell them for a profit. And what they've done is they've now supposedly kicked out people from the neighborhood because they can't afford it anymore. And that's gentrification, but there is no excuse for making your house look nice. Whether you own or whether you rent, it doesn't matter. The Parkside neighborhood, it's kind of interesting you bring that up. Before COVID, the Pittsburgh Rotary Club, we were engaged with the high school version of Rotary, which is Interact, and we were actually going to do a Parkside neighborhood cleanup. We had coordinated with Mount Diablo Resource Recovery, the police department, code enforcement, and we were going to go and painting curbs, helping with weed, pulling weeds, doing mulch, doing bark, etc. So there's gentrification, and then there's making your neighborhood look nice and having nice things. And so I would disagree that trying to clean up a neighborhood would be gentrification. So it's unfortunate that that's taking place. Stephanie, that's kind of disheartening, but it does speak to something else. In the East Bay Times, they sent out an email to all candidates asking them to answer a couple of questions. And oh, we're gonna need better studio lights here. Let's there we go. Um the thing with the East Bay Times is that they asked for the candidates to put out answers on some pretty rather large topic questions. And one of those was talking about, Pittsburgh as a whole and what is Pittsburgh lacking, what does Pittsburgh need? And my answer was quite simple, is that for too long, communities, government organizations, and other groups have made residents of Pittsburgh feel like they are inferior, that it's you should be thankful for what you have. Messages like that, well, that's East County. There's just different ways that the message has been delivered. And unfortunately, when you start to believe it and you internalize it, that your community is not as good as other communities, or that you are inferior because you are from a certain community, you're not from, quote unquote, as we all hear, the other side of the hill. So we have to change that. We have to get residents to not only expect better but demand better. We are just as worthy of good things, nice things as any other community. And we also need to look at the priorities of the council and city hall and being with that we expect better. In the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, he talked, in that book, he's looking at organizations and the difference between a good organization. All right, we're just gonna have to be in the dark. I'll figure out better lights next week. But he talks about what does it take for an organization to go from good to great. And one of the things they identified is that organizations that have more than three priorities are never going to be great. So this week, the city manager is meeting with candidates for city council, and he's prepared a very nice packet of information that talks about, what does the city council do, given different things. But one of those things was the city goals, and it's broken up by kind of your high level goals, and then each department has um, honestly, I wouldn't call anything in that document goals. I was trained that goals are a little bit different, but they're action items that suppose you're going to achieve those goals. And the city has way more than three goals. And so, in my opinion, that's unattainable. So, one of the things that I would like to do if elected in council is to work and narrow that our focus and look at 3 priorities. And whether they're the same priorities that I have in my campaign, which is clean, safe, and prosperous, it's up to the city council. It's 5 people, but that's something that I would champion, that we need to first just have 3 priorities. From those 3 priorities, then we go down, and create, action items. Well, the city council wouldn't. The city manager would work with his staff and to come up with action items that are aligned with the city council's 3 priorities. So for me, my priorities have always been clean, safe, and prosperous. If what's being done in the city is not aligned with those 3 priorities, it's going to keep our city from being great. And this isn't just Wolf speaking. Read the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. He'll talk about organizations that have more than 3 priorities. And when you have more than 3 priorities, you lose focus. You just get scattered. You're spinning, different things. So it needs to be done. So let's see, Trisha, I've lived in Pittsburgh over 20 years. My now 32 and 27-year-old both went to PUSD. I now don't feel okay having my 6th grader going to school here. A lot has changed. So I will agree. I've lived in Pittsburgh my whole life. I will be 42 this October. It is definitely different. Some things I think are better, but some things are not, in my opinion. As far as the school district, and how does a candidate for city council interact with that? There is what's called the 2x2 committee, where you have 2 city council members and 2 school board members, and city staff, school board staff working together to try to align things. And I think that the 3 priorities that the city council comes up with needs to encompass and maybe even be aligned with 3 priorities that the school district has, and working together, because you do have a lot of overlap between the 2 organizations, and obviously you don't want to step toes, and you don't want to um, tell another organization what to do, but there is overlap. And the changes that we see in Pittsburgh Unified, I would say, are consistent with changes that we're just seeing as a nation. I mean, there's changes that we can't um, that are not unique to Pittsburgh. I personally believe that a lot of the changes that we see in society that people would say are not positive, I believe come down to the breakdown of family. For me, family is extremely important. That morals, work ethic, and those other characteristics of people, I believe, are taught at home. And if they're not taught at home, where are they learned? Are they learned at school? Are they learned at the street? Are they learned on social media? Where are we learning these items? So for me, family is really important, and making sure that um, policies in the city keep that in mind. And when I say family, I'm not talking about the traditional, nuclear family. Family can look. There's lots of different ways that family can look. Lots of different roles in a family, but protecting family and allowing families to have a clean, safe, and prosperous place is a priority for me, because when families thrive, communities thrive. Let's see. Stephanie put, I'm also curious about, actually, I can just show this, I think. I'm also curious about the storefronts on Railroad Avenue. For example, the Lion Center had a thrift store whose lease was not renewed. Now the store sits empty. Great question. So here's the reality. A city council cannot just say, you know what, fill that space. There are some cities that have tried to do this in very draconian ways. Basically, they come with what's called like a vacancy tax. Basically, landlord, every month or every year that your property sits vacant, we're going to tax you. Well, I've met with, and have worked with lots of landlords, and I have never met one landlord yet that says, you know what? I want my property to sit vacant. They don't do that. They don't do that. So we have to look at the vacancy, or it being empty is not the problem. That's a symptom. The problem is, for whatever reason, that property is not desirable. Maybe it's overpriced. Maybe the location doesn't meet a business's needs. Maybe the city that the property is in is not business friendly, and so businesses just don't want to come in general. Maybe the property doesn't have the features. For example, there are some storefront properties on Railroad on the even side in a building called Sienna Court that have sat vacant from day one. They continue to sit vacant. They're brand new. Do you want to know why they sit vacant? I'll tell you. It's because there are no utilities or no HVAC to those spaces. They're literally what's called a cold shell. So you have four walls. You don't have outlets, you don't have plumbing for a bathroom, you don't have water, you don't have lights, you don't have HVAC. So for a business to come into that space, they're going to have to probably spend about $200,000 before before they can even open up. So what business is going to do that? Are they going to recoup their money? So when we see vacant properties, taking the draconian way of having a vacancy tax or penalizing the landlord, it doesn't work. That's it's been tried in lots of places. It doesn't work. We need to realize, okay, these vacant properties, this is a symptom. It's not the problem. There are lots and lots of businesses and people in the United States that are trying to make money. They are not coming to Pittsburgh because they don't feel they can make money. That's a plain and simple truth. It's why we don't have a grocery store. It's why we don't have a lot of things. They're not confident in their ability to make money. So, how can we get that fixed? One, what is the process to open up your business in Pittsburgh? Can that be streamlined? Can it be made easier? Can it be made more accessible, especially to our small businesses that maybe don't have the knowledge to get a business license? They need help. So that's one thing we can do is streamline that process, make it accessible, especially to our small, inexperienced businesses. The second one, what type of improvements can the city do to underserved commercial areas that would help inspire it? For example, does everybody know where the Mr. Jalapeno restaurant on Railroad is? It used to be Copper Skillet. So there's a public parking lot at the intersection of Railroad and Yosemite. That parking lot needs serious help. If that's the parking lot that's going to service a handful of restaurants and businesses, then it needs to be looking nice. It needs to be well lit. It needs to be clean. It needs to have the weeds removed. It needs to have good fencing. It needs to be inviting because that is a piece of infrastructure that's going to help those businesses. Do our commercial areas all have the infrastructure for high-speed internet? I don't care what business you're in today. If you don't have high-speed internet, life's pretty rough. And it may be surprising. Wow, a city in California or even areas in California that don't have high-speed internet. I'm talking about like fiber and the 10 gig type high-speed internet. We need to bring that in there. So those are just a couple reasons why we have empty storefronts and different things like that. It's not the city's place to go ahead and find businesses. It's the city's job to identify barriers and help remove them. All right, let's see. We have another question here. What can be done with all the speeders on residential roads? My backyard is Polaris and it is so bad. Can speed bumps be done on large intersections? So the quick answer is yes. The city does have a process to get speed bumps installed. You go through, I believe it's either planning or engineering. They have documents you can go pick up, fill out, basically get your neighbors to sign. You get in a certain number. It's a certain type of road. It's reviewed. Then the speed bumps can be installed. There are certain roads that speed bumps cannot be installed on. But here's the reality: is there a need for speed bumps? Is there a need for people to pull their heads out of their butt and be better drivers and be better residents? How can we help people feel connected to their city? The word disenfranchised is used a lot, and I think it's used so much people don't have a clue what it means. But I'll give it to you in wolf language. Basically, we have people that live in our city and that go through our city that don't care about our city, plain and simple. That's the reality. They don't care for whatever reason. Maybe they don't feel connected. They're not lifelong residents. They're whatever. There's numerous reasons. How do we help those residents feel connected to Pittsburgh? Because once they care and that they feel that this is their home, the littering decreases, spinning donuts decreases, speeding and driving recklessly on roads decreases, because this is their home, it's their community. Some ideas that I have on that is looking at city sponsored activities and making sure that they're not all concentrated in one area. Old Town, I love it. It's beautiful. Offices down there, but it can't be the only area that receives help. It's we have to spread that out. Do all of our parks look the same, and are they maintained at the same level? I'm going to say no. We all know the good parks from the bad parks, right? That has to be changed. Using code enforcement to get, addressing some serious bad, neglected properties and different things. That's another tool. So there's things that we can do. So yes, Trisha, there is a way to get speed bumps, but speed bumps isn't going to fix it if people still just don't give a crap about the city and just want to drive recklessly. Stephanie, I see. Yes, Snooker Pete's. I am totally sorry. It is not Copper Skill. It is Snooker Pete's. Thank you for correcting me on that. Let's see. Trish, you got another one. Road has too much traffic as it is, and the new apartment building will bring even more traffic. 1000% agree. When I was on the planning commission, that project came about, and my comments and concerns were all around traffic. So here's something that the general public needs to know about what's called the Atchison project, is that because of the type of housing it's going to provide, local control was limited. In the state of California, when a property or a housing project is deemed, affordable or has an affordable component, then they get to, skip go and collect $200. Basically, the state dictates what the rules are, and the city loses some of its control. And the city, in an effort to try to keep the developer playing nice, for lack of a better word, and doing some things that would help Pittsburgh, it's a negotiation. So when I was on the planning commission, when that project came and I saw how many units are going to be there, my concern was there's no traffic light. People that are going southbound on Railroad, basically towards Kirker Pass, they're going to have to somehow turn left to get into that apartment complex. We all know that that's a fool's errand right there. It's ridiculous. They're expected to go to the light where you would turn into like Walgreens, Bank of the West, flip a U-turn, and then come in. I mean, it's just um, I don't want to speak bad, but that project and that traffic is going to be a holy nightmare. Plain and simple. You have it's what I forgot, 300 to 400 units that are all going to go. The thought was, well, it's close to the BART station. People are going to live there and they're going to walk to BART or use other bikes or whatever to get to BART. And there's probably some truth to that. What's called a transit oriented development. You see that in Pleasant Hill at the Contra Costa Transit Village. There's probably some truth to that. You are going to have some people that pick that location because it's, close proximity to BART and they can just go over there. But here's the problem. You can't get everywhere by BART and you can't get everywhere by bus. So I guess you could Uber, but more than likely people are going to have cars. Here's my real fear. You look at almost every single apartment complex, there's more cars than there are parking spots. So then the parking spills out into the neighborhoods. So where are these residents going to park their second or third car? You guessed it, the Walgreens, that shopping center. So now that shopping center is negatively impacted with all these cars, and it's going to take away parking spots from customers, which then is going to create a problem, and it's just going to be bad. So I definitely want to keep eye on the Atchison project and the traffic, because the mitigations that the developer did are inferior, in my opinion, and I don't think they're going to fix the issue. So stay tuned on that. All right, next one, Stephanie. I know we got more viewers, so if you have questions, throw them in there, and definitely would love to answer them. Took me over a year to get code enforcement to address a broken storefront window near Pit High that was a danger to my visually impaired son, who would rest his hand on buildings to navigate. I am, um, I don't know the specifics. Why it took a year. I don't know. But in general, when code enforcement takes actions, there's steps, right? So there's first notifying the property owner. Sometimes that takes time. The property owner is then given time to fix the issue. If they don't, then they increase the penalties and the letters, and ultimately there's a process. But here's the issue. Let's say that the penalty for not fixing that window was $100, but the glass and the labor costs $1,000. Landlord's probably gonna say, "Yeah, I'll pay the $100." Well, then the penalty increases and it goes to $500. Well, it's still $1,000 to fix the window. So, um, I'm not saying increase the cost of fines, but when we have property owners, commercial, we'll be very specific, commercial property owners that are not taking care of their property, we need to be quicker, faster, and more intense in dealing with them. When you own a commercial property, your goal is to make money. It's not your house. You have a commercial property, it's to make money. So if you want to make money in Pittsburgh, I fully support that. I will do everything I can to help you legally make money in Pittsburgh, but you need to be a good resident. Your property needs to look nice. It needs to be well kept. It needs to be inviting, and it needs to look the same as if you, especially with our corporate brands that have locations all over. Your business and your building in Pittsburgh should not look inferior to locations in, let's say, Concord or Brentwood. It needs to look the same. We deserve the same. So, um, this specific incident with the broken window, I don't know why it took a year, but I just know that with commercial properties, we need to be faster and more intense to get things fixed up. All right, Trisha, you're bringing up my favorite question. I appreciate it. We really need a Trader Joe's. I know you've heard it before. Yes. Honestly, I'm not a fan of Trader Joe's, but I know people like it, have no problems with it, but it's just not my cup of tea. But we'll just trade out Trader Joe's for grocery store. And so here's the reality with grocery stores. There's two things taking place. The first one is post COVID, the world is different. The way we do business is different. The way we interact with each other is different. And increasingly, states and areas that are changing their shoplifting laws, they, um, and I'm not saying changing it to be stricter, I mean changing it to be looser and less consequences. Retailers are doing business differently, right? Curbside pickup, it's not because they care about you. It's because they're keeping you out of the store. If they bring the product from their store directly to you, put it in your car, you can't shoplift. That's it. They're looking at how to reduce what's called shrinkage, how much inventory is, walking out the door unpaid. So home delivery, curbside delivery, you're going to see more and more. And as they perfect that, you're going to see less and less brick and mortar. In my opinion, that's Wolf Krosky's opinion, you're going to see something happen. You're going to see higher end grocery stores. You're going to see fewer of them because you're going to have more home delivery. And if you want that experience to be able to touch your lettuce and pick your oranges and choose your meat, you will have that, but you're going to pay a premium for it. Everybody else is going to get um, their food that's already kind of either prepackaged or put in containers that's for easy shipping, et cetera. You're going to get delivered to your house or picked up at your car. I think that we're going to see that increase, and it's going to happen more and more in the next 5 years. So that's just the reality. how can we improve Pittsburgh's chances of getting a store? The plain and simple truth is household median income. A business wants to open up an area where they feel confident they're going to make money. And one way that they do that is they look at the data. They look at what's the household income per house, what type of cars are owned at that house, education level, and they use all that to determine the viability of, will this location be successful? So, as far as a grocery store, you're probably going to see that take place on the west side of Pittsburgh, just because the homes there's a higher median income, newer, larger homes, etc. So that would be my guess. If a new grocery store is going to come to Pittsburgh, I would probably guess it would be on the west side of Pittsburgh, just looking at the demographics of the households. What brand it will be, we'll just I don't know. We'll have to see. Have to wait. I'm seeing people in the comments talk about Sprouts, Whole Foods. Some people call that whole paycheck, or maybe a better, just better, maybe a better grocery store. If you want to attract businesses to Pittsburgh, we have to not just shop in Pittsburgh, but we have to, what I call, it's kind of the Pittsburgh disease, right? Everybody wants to hook up. Hey, I know so and so, they can hook you up. Well, the problem is that business has bills to pay. They have payroll, they have utilities, they have rent, they have whatever, and you can't pay PG&E by hookup, right? Or trade and barter. You can't. I will trade you tires in exchange for me painting your roof because I'm a painting company and you're a tire company. And then the tire company can't use that new paint job to then go, that trade and barter. Ultimately, you need cash. Plain simple, cash flow. And if the business isn't getting the cash flow, they go somewhere else. So, how can we help residents improve their household income? So, as a city council, going back to priorities, right? Clean, safe, prosperous. This is where prosperous comes in. How can we look at policies to attract businesses that are going to bring careers? We hear a lot about creating jobs. I don't believe in jobs. I believe in careers. To me, there's a difference. A career is not just a living wage, it's a thriving wage. It also is going to provide stability and it's going to provide benefits. There's lots of places out there that could provide you a job. We want careers. And we're going to have to look at outside of Pittsburgh. We're going to have to look at East County, and this is a regional problem. So in Pittsburgh, how can we work with the other cities in East County, Antioch, Oakley, Brentwood, Discovery Bay, and look at career centers and attracting companies that are going to provide careers? Also, how do we provide, and I know this may not seem like it's related, but having entertainment and leisure, because as more and more people work from home, now home becomes that career center. So we need to have the types of nightlife, fun, activities, recreation so that people would want to live here and do their quote unquote their career from home, but they're here because we have, arts, we have music, we have recreation, we have all these nice things. So that part plays a huge role as well. Um, all going back to that grocery store, right? Because it's household mean income. All right, so Trisha and Stephanie, you have been by far. You both win tonight's Tuesday Tailgate Commenter Award. Round of applause. Does anybody else have any other questions or ideas, thoughts? I really appreciate when people provide this. Otherwise, it gets rather boring. I ask, please like and share. I know the lights right now, you're going to share this like, man, you want this guy in city council, he sits in the dark, but um, due to the light change, we're probably just going to have to call it our Tuesday chat and go back inside now that it's not light anymore. But please share this. I also, if what I'm talking about resonates with you and it sounds like I have the capacity to help fix some of these problems, I ask for your vote. November 8th is the official election day, but really in California, elections start October 10th. That's when the ballots are mailed to you. Every single person is getting a vote by mail ballot. So we really have a 30-day window pretty much for elections. So I need your vote. If what I say makes sense, it resonates with you, I need to get into office. The only way I can do that is with your vote. And again, I ask if there are friends and neighbors that you have that do not, social media is not their thing. I am putting these on our YouTube channel. You can share that or invite them over to your house. Or if you would like, I'd be more than happy if you get a group of friends and neighbors together. I can come to your home and speak. I can share. I would really like to meet as many people as possible and let them know that we can have a safe, clean, and prosperous Pittsburgh. I have experience in all three of those categories. With the safe part, I am endorsed by the Pittsburgh Police Officers Association, and I have worked with them, and I understand public safety. With the prosperous part, work with lots of small businesses in my capacity as the CEO of the Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce, have seen what works, what doesn't work. And as far as the clean, I love picking up trash. I love making our city beautiful. I love doing service projects, but one person can't do it alone. Five people can't do it alone. We all have to work together. And I want to bring these ideas to city council, and I want to make Pittsburgh a wonderful community, but I need your help. And Stephanie, we should have you attend our Boy Scout meeting. I would love to. I was an Eagle Scout. I guess I still am an Eagle Scout. I know scouting's changed a lot, but I did earn the rank of Eagle Scout. It's something I do cherish and um, respect anybody that goes through that process. So I would be more than happy to speak, and if anything, to teach the scouts, if they're still doing citizenship in the community merit badge, so it could teach them a little bit about the process and how to be civically engaged. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude this Tuesday tailgate. I appreciate you, appreciate all that you do, and help me get in the office, and we can do some great things here in Pittsburgh. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great evening.